Hello and welcome to episode 260 of Checkpoint Chat. My name is Alessandro Barbosa. I'm joined by Matthew Figuera.
You're probably wondering, what is this? The back-to-back episode. Who are these people?
Knew? Who
Who are these
knew
people?
podcast episodes could be done back to back? Not me.
Not me,
Look at
not
us.
this guy. Yes,
Oh,
I actually
look at
cannot
us.
remember. I don't think we've done a back-to-back episode since we stopped doing back-to-back episodes. So
Yeah. I think you're right. I think yeah. And I can't even recall when we stopped doing back-to-back ones. Was it earlier this year? Was it last year? I think it was earlier this year.
It is this year. Now, before
Yeah.
you all get excited and think they're back, it's not happening. It's just
No.
I'm away next weekend. We have a lot to talk about, so we thought let's just get ahead rather than delay everyone. And we actually,
yeah.
yes, if we came back in 2 weeks and had to talk about more than what we
no.
have today, that's
Absolutely
We've
no
actually-
way.
we've somehow. I mean, we recorded last week. We've somehow, I don't know how we did it, but this week we've got a lot more to talk about.
Yeah. I think it's
God.
also because last weekend we recorded right at the beginning of the weekend. It was like the first thing we did Saturday
Oh,
morning.
true, yeah, and
Yeah, and so like I think at least two of the games, or at least one of them for sure, was like we had just kind of touched it.
Yeah,
Call of
that's
Duty
fair.
specifically. And I think it was by the end of Saturday, I was like, ooh, my feelings on this are very different compared to what I just recorded in the morning.
It was funny though, because I remember on on our Discord, you said, I don't know, I'm not really vibing with the new Call of Duty, and then Jeff and I gave you shit, going like, yeah, well, you've played like the first 2 hours, whatever, things can change. And to be fair, like we were semi-serious because things can change, but sometimes it does happen where you play a game and like that's kind of what it is for.
That's the gist of it.
That's the gist of it. Man, that Call of Duty surprised both of us. Because even I was like,
Yeah.
like, I'm enjoying it more than you, but like it's just more Call of Duty. But we'll get to
Yeah,
that. We'll talk about that.
it gets much better. Put it that way. I had
Yeah.
a great time by the end of it. But yeah, we'll chat about that. Yeah, it's just been it's one of those weeks where I think we're at the tail end of like the big releases for the year, and so much happened in such a short space amount of time. But now, well, I say now we're gonna start slowing down. But I think just this week we had 2-3 new codes come in for games. It was like Sonic. It was Horizon. Zero
Remastered.
Dawn. That's what
Yeah.
I kept wanting to hear Forbidden West in my head, but
Burning Shore.
Zero Dawn, Burning Shore. What was the DLC for
Frozen
Forbidden
Wilds.
West? Was it Burning Shore? Frozen Wilds?
Frozen Wilds, yeah.
Okay.
It's like the
Um,
opposite. We went from frozen to burning. See what they did there.
You are in LA in the second one, so that makes sense to me. Fucking hellscape there.
My God.
Yeah, so just like loads happening, and then I want to say like, oh, next week will be, more chilled, more relaxed. But there's still, I mean, Dragon Age came out 2 days ago. Stalker is still set to come out.
November, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't even know if I'll get to Dragon Age this year. Like, I just don't. Dropping metaphor for Dragon Age just
That seems like
it won't be in my bones.
Oh,
No,
Are you ready? Okay, I haven't played Mass Effect. And I know this upsets
you've never played
every-
Dragon
I've
Age.
never played Dragon Age. Not even one.
I-
So people getting
I
excited.
can
I'm
forgive
like,
this
nah.
more. I could forgive this more. It's like I don't know. To me, it's odd because I know you enjoy your fantasy RPG settings. Like you enjoyed The Witcher, you enjoyed Skyrim, if I'm not mistaken.
I've never played Skyrim. Not
Oh,
even
fuck,
once.
Okay, well, there goes that theory. That's gone out the window. I thought you were into that sort of setting. You like Game of Thrones. There we go. Who didn't?
I mean, I would probably enjoy it. But my
Probably-
desire to play
probably.
it is a hot zero. And for no
fair.
reason,
fair.
the game doesn't look bad to me. It actually looks really good. I just think,
Mm.
damn, I can't commit to an RPG. Having
No, fair.
know-
I mean, I'm in the same boat. I to be honest, I enjoy Dragon Age, but it's nowhere near on the same sort of like level for me as like Mass Effect or BioWare's previous games like Knights of the Old Republic or something. It's just I don't know, the whole setting seems a bit complicated to me and it's not as engaging, but I have played all of the games and I do enjoy them. I just don't know when I'll get to Veilguard. It's just a one-day thing.
I'm talking about not having the time for it, having put so much time this year alone into Final Fantasy. I'm in Metaphor now. What else did I play this year? I feel like there was a third something.
Like
I
a
played
big game.
Oh, Elden Ring. I mean, I played the Elden Ring.
God, I haven't done that yet. Fuck.
It's like three big games.
I keep forgetting about
that. I don't have time for
How the hell are we
games.
going to do Game of the Year if I haven't even played Elden Ring? Like,
I know, it's a sin.
Where am I going to find this? Okay.
Just like
you
a
say
week
this
off
though,
work.
but you also spent like 8 hours playing Sonic this week, so
I did. I played
good
some
8
stuff
hours,
this week.
well spent.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's 8 hours versus 80 hours?
Well, listen, I played 8 hours for the Call of Duty campaign last week, and it felt like a sin that I got to play that much in a weekend. It felt. I even told someone at work, "Yeah, I finished the campaign." They're like, "Already?" I was like, "God, times have changed." That used to be a "I'm done by Saturday evening" sort of thing. You know?
Can we hard cut to? I forgot about this. Which year was it when Christopher Judge burnt Call of Duty? It must have been last year at the Game Awards where I think he came to present an award because the previous year he had won voice actor, I think, and he gave that long speech. Yeah, and he gave like a long. Oh
yeah, that was
speech.
2022. Yeah,
and then last year at the Game Awards he came to present an award, and he made a joke about, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna talk for 15 minutes, but my speech will be longer than this year's Call of Duty campaign." And everyone was like, "Ooh."
It had to be last year because last year's campaign was so short. Yeah.
And then I think it was like, well, I guess he's never working for Activision.
He's never going to be never going to be a Captain Price stand-in. Not in this lifetime.
No, but it's funny because this year's campaign was like a good 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like a good
no, it felt like a proper campaign again. Yeah, it was good. Let's just get into it. We got four whole games to get through. So Checkpoint Chat, talk about video games. And that first video game, I think it's definitely going to be Call of Duty, Black Ops 6. I genuinely, while I was playing this game, trying to remember all the campaigns for the previous Black Ops, and I feel like there's one or two that are just missing in my memory. Like I remember Cold War, which I assume they consider number 5. I don't know what number 4 is. I can't remember 3. 2 was like the future one.
There's too many.
There's Frank Woods everywhere in this thing.
Honestly, when I mentioned it last week, when one of my friends spoke about where's this Call of Duty set? Is it the sequel to this and I looked at the wiki and there are so many Call of Duties.
It's so many.
You can't keep up. But I will say that having rolled credits on this Call of Duty, I mean, I've actually been. There's a huge gap where I've missed a lot of campaigns, but the last 3-4 years I have played the campaigns, and I mean, this is the best campaign I've played for like a long time. Honestly, it's. I think when we spoke about it last week, if you were listening, we maybe were a bit hard on it, going, yeah, it's just more Call of Duty, and let me tell you, it picks up, it goes places, and it is a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Where it leans a bit into, I don't want to say silly territory, but I think it's not scared to be a bit wild and go interesting, unexpected places. And I think also on top of that, there are a lot of linear missions. You know, where you're going from A to B, but there are quote unquote like more open-ended missions that let you choose stealth, do objectives in the order you choose, or there are like 3 ways to do an objective, and it's just a neat way to do Call of Duty, which I didn't quite expect, honestly.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think especially the mission you're showing now in the footage is a good example of the variety, because it starts off with you at a like a party for politicians, and it almost feels like Hitman-esque, because you've got these 3 objectives that you can complete, and each of those has their own like subplot that eventually gets you to your objective. But it feels like, oh, go speak to this person and they will tell you where you can find this item that will then tell you where you can find this thing, as opposed to, oh, you can sneak around guards and eavesdrop on this conversation, that will give you a hint as to where to go next. It's like there's no shooting, there's no nothing. It is very directed. It's not as freeform as say Hitman, but
No.
it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels different, and I think the campaign has got a lot of that variety, and it doesn't reuse a lot of its ideas, which I think is quite admirable. I do think it really hits its stride. Like, is it just before halfway or just over halfway? There's a mission that I see a lot of people are talking about, and for good reason. And I can't remember the mission's name right now. But you go into like this facility where they were producing this like compound for this chemical weapon, and you kind of get stuck there alone.
Yeah.
And it's very 1970s, 1980s, almost like creepy Soviet Union vibes. Like if you played Atomic Heart or you played Control, that sort of like office creepy vibe to it all. And it's like a proper, I think, horror mission within Call of Duty, which I've never seen before. And yeah, it is such a standout mission. It is really so good. Like a whole reinterpretation of how combat works. You've got this grappling hook that feels incredible to use. It's such a eerie setting, and from then on, I don't think it stopped. It just maintained that sort of momentum right until the end, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, no, that definitely was a standout and unexpected mission. That was, when I say the studio went places, like that is, like, I think they must have had fun putting that mission together, because it's Call of Duty, but it doesn't feel, it's like, it's weird to have that in a Call of Duty. But even some of the, quote unquote by the numbers missions are really good. The casino one, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I mean, close your eyes and just don't think too hard about it, because how would you rob a casino as quickly? They're like, we need to get this, let's go do it. And they do it. But just even that is the classic cinematic Call of Duty, where you literally just walking through a mission and things are happening, but just how it's presented. I just really enjoyed that particular mission, where it is like, okay, now you're doing this, and now you switch to this person who has to do that, and then now you've got the person on the inside who's doing this, and just the way it was strung together, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Like
it was a very Italian job in a way.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, even that is like, it's Call of Duty, but it's this emphasis on like this stealth mission, which inevitably ends in a lot of shooting. But those little in-between moments are so appreciated. And even on the shooting, like, I'm not going to criticize that. This is, Call of Duty always feels good to me. I mean, like I said last week, if you're playing the multiplayer, I'm sure there are nuances which are completely lost to me, because I don't put hundreds of hours into the multiplayer. But I do take my hats off to Activision that there's a lot of Call of Duties, but year on year they've made sure the shooting always feels good. And I think this iteration, the weapons are just fun to use. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed every weapon I used. Sounds good, feels good to reload. That Omni movement, we've touched on it last week as well, where it's this new movement system where you can sprint in any direction. I don't know how you don't have that in future Call of Duties. It feels right. And this, I don't know if there's a name for the system, but aiming around corners, how the gun anchors, you can't not have that in Call of Duty. That to me is like, that set the benchmark now. And I think other games could learn from that as well, how it just feels so natural. You honestly don't even know it's happening. It just happens when you peep around a corner, the angle changes with you, and it's so solid.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, Call of Duty lives and dies on how it feels, and I think in the years where they were trying to get back to the whole boots on the ground mantra, like bring it more realistic and more like less arcadian feel, was fine, but I feel like the swing back in the other direction definitely feels welcome. The Omni movement especially just feels good. It makes the action feel a bit more dynamic and just fast. I mean, I'm sure you've played a bit of multiplayer, and there it's on another level. People are using it in ridiculous ways, and it's fun. It reminds me a lot of maybe not to the same degree, but Titanfall 2. Like, Titanfall is this very dynamic, fast moving shooter, and I think Call of Duty can exist in that space, not necessarily with running on walls and boosting up on things and whatever, but the shit people can do with this Omni movement, what they're doing it's just as impressive. And I think it reinvigorates the action in a way that the past like 3 games really haven't. So I had a great time with it. I really enjoyed the campaign. The story is a bit nonsense, especially by the end of it. Like I don't really know what's happening. But it was still fun. Like the settings you get put into, like you said, the casino, the weird creepy lab was a really good one. And just the sort of options that you have during each mission to be stealthy or go loud, and to constantly chop and change that is really good. I mean, like you said, if you think about it too hard, the stealth really doesn't work, because like you can go loud in an area, kill everyone, and then in the next like room, everyone's like completely unaware that this massive firefight just happened next to it. And it's like, okay, if you really think about it hard, none of this makes sense, but it does lead to just some fun moments where you can just have fun with the mechanics and enjoy them on your terms, which I think is a great way to play, as opposed to you have to run through the shooting gallery in this manner and that's all you can do.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, just seeing the footage of me picking up money. One thing we didn't touch on in the campaign is that it does have, it's the old faithful modern day, quote unquote, like a bit of an RPG system, like an upgrade system where you collect money throughout your missions, because people leave these thousands of dollars just lying around. And you use them.
I wish they'd leave them at my house.
Yeah, same. And you use that to like level up your character. So, faster reload, better aim, etc., etc. And even that's just like, it's not needed, but it's a nice touch that you feel your character getting better as you go.
It's very superfluous. I actually didn't even start engaging with it like until halfway
later
through the campaign, because I straight up forgot it existed.
You don't really get that much money in the early missions anyway, I found.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And the big upgrades for me were just like having more grenades or having more magazines or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it's
what was your favorite equipment? Because I think like this game is definitely rooted in it takes place in 1991, if I'm not mistaken, and I think a lot of the weapons stay rooted in that period, but some of the equipment you get, I'm like, nah.
The exploding throwing knife, the most overpowered
100%. That thing is so cool and is so ridiculously futuristic, and I just love that exists in this game. It's fantastic.
I mean, we'll get back to the exploding knife, but the reason it made me think of, so throughout missions there are like elite enemies, which is a typical Call of Duty thing where there'll be a juggernaut every now and then who's this massively armored enemy, whatever. I feel that this Black Ops has some nice variation on that, where throughout each level you'll come across a handful of elite enemies who all specialize at a thing. Like there's an enemy who just straight up has a minigun, who's highly armored. There's another enemy who throws gas to disorientate you and get close to try to take you down.
Those guys are the worst, man. They really suck.
But
I
it's
really
there,
don't like
and
those guys.
they are bullet sponges. Like even if you shoot them in the head, until you use the throwing exploding knife, man, then they just become laughably easy, because so if you don't know, you throw the knife and it goes into slow-mo and it lets you aim the knife. Okay, because 90s physics were different back then, so you can like arc the knife down straight into the head and it explodes. It has so much damage. Best piece of equipment in the whole game.
No, it's ridiculous. It's so, even against enemies who have shields, you just pop that knife to land just behind them and then detonate that thing, and it's like game over for them.
100%.
It's so good. And there's something satisfying about like, you have to have the knife in your hand, almost like cooking a grenade. You have to keep it cooked for a little bit of time until it activates the whole remote control aspect of it.
Yeah.
So it's just you're holding this knife, it's got a light on it that's red, and then it turns green, and you're like, we're cooking now. We're in business.
It's prime.
It's so good. It's prime. You do get some of that medicine thrown back at you with some of those enemies that throw those C4 remote control cars at you. Fuck those guys, man.
I laugh.
It's
like, how many remote controls does this person pack?
There's so many. You shoot one, and then you hear the like second and third one already coming at you. It's like, I have zero time to even determine where you are sending these from. Like, it's crazy. Could you imagine that guy on the battlefield who's just got a backpack of like 100 RC cars, and everyone else is like, look at this guy. They're just getting shot. And he's like,
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, look,
it's
I mean, if you're
ridiculous.
listening to this and thinking it sounds silly, it is, but it's
It is.
this campaign is well worth playing. And again, this is our hashtag not sponsored. Like Call of Duty's on Game Pass now. It's you don't have to cough up the full $60-$70. You can, if you want to, just dip your little toes in, pay for a month, enjoy the campaign, try the multiplayer out. It's
100%. I think that's a super good way to go about it, because the campaign is, it's not super long. It took me like 8 hours, I think, which is double the time that Modern Warfare 3 lasted last year, but still, it is a traditional Call of Duty campaign sort of length. But who knows? You jump in, you really enjoy it. You're like, oh, I want to hop into zombies, and zombies is a much more classic feeling experience than the very raid-like experience that it turned into over the years. So that's cool as well. There's a lot to enjoy here, I think, even if you're not into the nitty-gritty of the multiplayer.
Did you try the zombie mode? That's actually something I have not dipped my little toe into yet.
I tried a very little bit of it, and I was just like, oh yeah, this feels like the zombies I remember playing, and not the modes that I started ignoring 2 or 3 Black Ops ago. So
yeah,
it's cool. I like it a lot. I like that there's like 2 missions in the campaign that feel like zombie missions. Which I appreciated. It's good. I just had a really good laugh at the last few missions where you're busy playing like levels through someone's mind. I was like, wow, this is
what's
this is
going
really
on?
something. Yeah.
I mean, it goes places, but
way to tell the story, but sure.
I still loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
Again,
and then the like pseudo cliffhanger it ends on. I was like, what is going on here? I don't understand what I'm meant to be feeling for this cliffhanger. Who is this person?
What is going on? It's good. It's good, silly fun. And I think Call of Duties have always, I mean, I know they always present them as these super serious, the world's going to end, but like more often than not, it's a thing of, it's just silly, and I'm there for it. Yeah, look at these juices in the fridge.
Oh my goodness, can you shoot the juices?
No, but I laugh because it's like, games, they'll typically go, we can't call it Coca-Cola, but we'll call it like Cola-Coca, something, like a rip-off of whatever. I stopped at the fridge, I was like, man, they really just labeled this juice in the milk. Like, no, they didn't even put any thoughts into giving it a fake brand name or something.
Listen, this is the secret military base. They don't have time for superfluous brand names. They just want to know this is orange juice and this is full fat milk. Let's go.
100%. But yeah, Black Ops 6, good time.
I've always wondered, like, these studios are so big and there's so many assets that go into games, and this. Could you imagine? I mean, I'm sure this is a reality for a lot of people, but working on assets that players will absolutely never see. Like,
100%.
Imagine 3D modeling that juice box. I never saw that. You're one of how many people that appreciated that juice box?
I've often thought of it where, and I never wanted to change, but there are often, you think the level of detail goes, we'll get to it now, but like Sonic, for example, like you think those levels are built on speed, where it's literally just going, you're flying through, not really taking in all the smaller details around you, but somebody has to like put that building there, put that tree there, whatever. And I mean, it happens in a lot of games where you think the scale, like Final Fantasy is a good example, where let's talk about Remake, where you're in Midgar and it is like this huge place that they've made, but you think, is everyone going to see every tiny detail that they've put into that city? Like, probably not. Some people will like take the time to walk around, but if you put like a trash can there and whatever over there, like how many people are going to go like, oh man, like, it's a good looking, but somebody did that. Same as old Batman's cape. Somebody just had to animate that bad boy.
Okay, but everyone saw that.
But everyone saw that.
You walked around for 30 seconds and you're like, whoa, this is sick. Actually,
difference.
Funny enough, you mentioned that. I booted up, I don't know what. I do this thing on the Steam Deck where I'm like, I wonder if this game works, and then it doesn't work, and then I'll spend like an hour or 2 hours trying to figure out how to get it to work on Linux, and then it will boot. I'll be like, that was fun, and then just not play it. It's just it's the thrill of the hunt, Matty.
100%.
So Batman Arkham Asylum was one of those games. So I went through the process of installing this new version of Proton and getting this whole new compatibility layer working, and then getting that working through the Steam Deck. And then I played like the opening where the Joker escapes and whatever. And I was running through that world. I was like, okay, firstly, 2009 game. It's a 15-year-old game. Game looks
good.
It's still really good. Those cape physics still then fucking good, really good. I got to Joker kind of like sort of like the first part of the game where it's like, cool, you can kind of now like roam around. I was like, that was fun. I just turned it off. How was that?
I mean, we could talk about Batman. I never played Arkham. Now,
sure. If you say Arkham Asylum,
no.
Okay.
I've played Asylum and City. City, like, still one of the best looking games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It just looks incredible. And you think that game came out so long ago. It's like, is it the art style? Like, maybe
it is.
It's like,
there's so much to that art style that's kept it going, I think. And funnily enough, like Arkham Knight definitely skews more towards a realistic spin on it, but it still has its own like style that keeps it modern by today's standards. Like you can boot up Arkham Knight today, and it's like still one of the best looking games you're gonna play. But it looks very different to the very comic inspired Arkham Asylum, for instance. So it's cool that each one of the three had their own distinct look and feel to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still attribute Asylum especially to be the Metroid pilled moment in my life, because or Metroidvania, sorry, because that is fundamentally a AAA Metroidvania. And you know, City and Asylum move away from that sort of thing, but there is no, I don't think we'll ever see another big budget game kind of do that with that sort of structure and get away with it without people even realizing it was a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
So smart.
Good game.
Give them a raise. Give Rocksteady a raise, and let them make other Batman and not Suicide Squad games. That'd be great. Yeah.
I do wonder how long they go before they say, okay, cool, we're pulling the plug. I'm genuinely surprised it hasn't happened.
I'm shocked it hasn't happened already. It's like a whole Concord moment for them. So, yeah. Speaking of games that are old, Sonic Generations. Don't laugh at me. That was a perfectly
because the moment you said, I was like,
segue.
100%. I know where you're going with this. Just run with it. It's cool.
Sonic is it Generations?
It's Sonic Generations. Yeah. Well,
I think this came out in 2010 or 2011.
2011. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get. Let me just timestamp this. You know,
I remember the Sonic specifically because, like, when it was advertised, it was like, Sonic is back. You know, we've got classic Sonic, we've got Thin Boy Sonic, we've got not Shadow at the time, but it was like generations. We were looking at the generations of this little blue hedgehog, and I was like, this is cool. And then I never played it because I don't like Sonic.
So I'm trying to remember where I captured this footage.
It's fine. I'll keep talking about Sonic. So the Sonic movies, pretty damn good.
I haven't watched the Sonic movies. Can you believe
that? First one, surprisingly fantastic. The second one, also really good. Really keen to see Keanu Reeves' Shadow in this new one. So keen. Okay, cool. We got footage.
So I don't know. I can't remember if this is the beginning of the game. It's a blur. I rolled credits on.
It's a blur. It's a blue blur.
It's a blue blur. Okay, so Sonic Generations, you're right. Okay, it came out it is 2010, 2011. It's an old Sonic game that's been remastered. Okay. What they've done though is they've remastered this game, but also packaged in a new game called Shadow Generations. So this game's called Sonic and Shadow Generations because it's packaging these two games, the old one and a brand new one, into one thing. But there are two completely separate games. So Sonic Generations is what you're currently seeing the footage of now, where I can imagine in 2011 it was a marketing thing of like, whoa, like Sonic's back, and what we're going to do in this game is we're going to show you Sonic's origins, and we're going to like mash it with modern day Sonic, because the whole premise of this game is that if you think Call of Duty's story is silly, okay, just close your eyes and never open them again with the Sonic story, because the Sonic stories, there's like, I'm sorry, barely any effort that goes into the stories that I've played in recent years. It's like something happens and Sonic's got to run fast for reasons. Okay, we don't know why. He just has to run fast. But the basic premise is that there's some time shenanigans, dimension shenanigans happening here. And modern Sonic gets to hang out with the OG Sonic, as in like the very first Sonic, who can only do like 2D side running, if that makes sense.
Yes, the short and stout Sonic.
The short and stout one. Yeah. So the gameplay here is broken down into, you have like your overworld where you can choose your levels, but each level has 2 acts. Okay, and Act 1 you play as OG Sonic, where it's 90% 2D classic side-scrolling Sonic. Okay, and then Act 2 is modern Sonic, where it's 3D. You run. It's not like Super Mario Odyssey, for example, where it's like a 3D plane and you can like free roam and navigate. There are moments of that, but for the most part, it's an on rails. You got to go fast, navigate. This path in front of you.
It's a Sonic roller coaster. So to speak.
It's 100% a Sonic roller coaster, and that's what a modern day Sonic game. I don't know today so much what Sonic Frontiers, but that's what it was back then. And for Sonic fans, I'm sure great game. I have no doubt I think Generations did do quite well when it came out. Like, I can see its merits, but it also made me realize that Sonic games just don't gel with me personally. Like, and that's not because I'm a Mario boy, because I am a Mario boy, or a Celeste boy, because I am. But maybe it is because in those games it's about precision platforming, right? Where
yes,
you've got to jump from this platform to that platform. You've got to time it. Whereas Sonic, it's all about you've got to go fast, okay? You're going to go through these at breakneck speeds through these levels, and you need to have like the muscle memory or the reflexes to know, I've got to jump, I've got to change platform, I've got to do this. Particularly in the later Sonic level, the modern day Sonic games. But where it frustrates me is that the telegraphing to me isn't fantastic, where you're going at a breakneck speed and you're busy changing. Like, so if you're looking at the footage, it's this, where you're sprinting, you're going forward at a breakneck speed. But this is an early level, okay? So there's very little room for error. But you get to levels where you're sprinting, you're jumping. Suddenly there's a spark pit. I mean, it happens to me right now. I sprinted into an enemy. I'm like, how am I supposed to know? But I guess maybe that's part of the charm where maybe that is the thing of you learn the level that it feels good to do it perfectly. Like, I can appreciate that. But
it's almost like a time attack leaderboard thing at that
100%.
point.
And there is an online component which, if I'm not mistaken, is you can, compete with people globally, which is cool. But if you're just playing for I just want to have a platforming experience, it can be incredibly frustrating. And you want to talk about how we spoke about earlier, where people put in effort into designing things that you'll probably never see. Sonic levels are multi-layered, which is not a bad thing, but it feels like once I've zoomed through, there's so much stuff I'm missing because I'm just flying through it. And I just feel like it's not that there's anything wrong with the game. It's just something that I don't particularly enjoy. It's just, I don't gel with it. Like, I can appreciate when you get a feel for it and you go fast. Like, we'll talk about the Shadow game in a bit. It's cool. But maybe this particular game is dated. That doesn't feel good by modern platforming standards. Like, I think even modern day Sonic games are similar, right? Where you're doing this. You're going fast. But I think
100%, yeah. This is fundamentally a Sonic thing. Like, what you're describing is kind of the problem people have had with Sonic ever since he was introduced,
forever.
You know what I mean?
I mean, Sonic 1, like, love Sonic for existing, but can you imagine? I mean, can't imagine. This is what people did. You're playing this fast-paced thing on a square screen where you can't see 2 feet in front of you. Like, holy hell.
Some people love it. I don't.
No, 100%.
I mean, I'm with you. To me, if you're marketing or you're trying to play Sonic as a platformer, it feels very strange because it is this like push and pull of continue going fast and precision platforming, which do not gel together at all.
No.
But as like a roller coaster of a thing, then it's like entertaining. But is it just an on rails experience or
100%? But I mean, it's weird because even on some of the levels where, like, but as the more I played, the better I got at it. Because obviously I started getting a feel for how these games work. But even then, it's like there are times in levels where you sprinting, then it's like, okay, you at a floating platform and you need to jump from this into the next one, and you just lose all the momentum. I'm like, but why was it designed like this? It just doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with Sonic per se, but I think it's, you have to enjoy Sonic. You have to be in it for this fast pace, and I'm going to play this level 30 times and I'm going to learn exactly where the enemies are so that I can perfect it. And you know what? If you took the time to do that, I'm sure it is very satisfying. Like, I can appreciate that. But I mean, So if you played this back in the day, Sonic Generations Remastered, it looks good. It plays well, in terms of it does feel fluid in that. What's cool as well is like it is a nice balance of the original Sonic and modern day Sonic where, when you play Act 1 as the original Sonic, you've got your typical, you can only jump and you can charge, hold down and charge a move to shoot forward. And like that's it. That's like how that Sonic feels, okay? Whereas if you play the modern day Sonic in this game, you suddenly get access to his, you see how the characters evolve because suddenly that Sonic you can push R2 to dash, you can like teleport to enemies to take them out, you can slide, like there's a whole move set, right? And it is cool seeing that contrast of how the character's grown. But in 2024, I just feel like there's platforming, we've learned a lot about how to do platform, not me, I'm not making this game, but Sonic developers and just developers in general have, modernized, platformers feel a certain way today, which this game does not, if that makes sense. But it brings me to Shadow Generations, where this is a standalone modern game, and it feels so much better. That game I played, and I had the same sort of hiccups where, you're running and you die, or you fall into a pit of sparks, and it's frustrating. But I feel that this game was designed with modern sensibilities, where after the first 2-3 levels, all the levels that followed, I understood the formula and I was able to get through levels for the most part without headache, and it felt good. There it was like, oh, okay, I feel like this level, it's not explicit, right? Because you're still shooting through, but there must be a design DNA or something there that makes me go like, oh, I know I need to like jump here. I need to move left or right on these rails. And I'm able to get through the level with a lot less frustration compared to Sonic Generations. Like, does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, and even then, like, Shadow just controls differently. He has more moves. I was saying to you earlier before we started recording, why would anyone want to play Sonic when Shadow can do a double jump and Sonic can't?
I mean, it seems like such a dumb thing, but like a double jump in this sort of context is huge.
Do you have any idea how helpful a double jump is in correcting your direction, or even just like giving you a moment to like jump up, pause, change direction, get on the right path? And even then, there are modern things where you see there's a lot of grinding in these games, right? Like you're on a rail going at a breakneck speed. In Sonic Generations, you fall off so much. Like you're a millimeter off. You just fall off that rail. You don't line it up perfectly. Shadow's game, there's obviously a modern thing where like there's a bit of a magnetic fill there where even if you're slightly off, Shadow snaps to that railing. And I think like, why could they not have modernized Sonic Generations to have that? Because it's a lot less frustrating. It's more forgiving. You don't lose that momentum. It just felt like a way better game. And again, like I know I'm coming down hard on this, but if you're a Sonic fan, I have no doubt like this is a great package. If you're not a Sonic fan, like the Shadow game is, I'd recommend it. Like I did enjoy it. It's again, story's a bit silly, Don't think too hard about it.
Of course. I mean, Shadow's whole like backstory is complete nonsense, and I'm so keen to see that addressed in the film. So very excited for that. It is weird to me that because like you were saying and we were saying before the show that this is almost like a Bowser's Fury-esque mode to this old game. Like they've essentially done the same thing. They've remastered an older Sonic game and then given it a whole new mode that like kind of teases the future. I do wonder if they'll look at the positive reception to Shadow's portion of the game and go, okay, well, we can build on top of this as opposed to just making more of the same Sonic,
I mean, let's just kind of redeem myself a bit. I'm one of the few people who said Sonic Frontiers is like it gets way much.
Fair point. You did.
It gets more hate than it deserves. Like I agree, it's a flawed game, but as a sort of template for a modern Sonic game, I was like, this could work. Like I'd play Sonic Frontiers 2, where they take lessons from the first game, 100%. Like that could work. If they take Sonic Frontiers and they, my favorite expression, let it have a little baby with Shadow Generations, I think you'd have a really good Sonic game. honestly, you know, going fast and all. I mean, like Shadow's game, it is this thing of you in this overworld where you can explore and there's little platforming things you can do are completely optional, but it's an interesting way to navigate through levels. And again, his movements, I mean, he's got a double jump, he's got a dash like Sonic, he can shoot, like he's got a chaos beam, which is used in levels, some levels like Smart, where this is what I appreciate about games like this, when in the Shadow portion of the game where you're going fast, right? And it becomes a more of a reflex thing of like, oh, there's a hazard, you got to jump. Okay. Now you've got to shoot that thing over there so it opens the gate. It becomes more of you reacting to the level and getting through it fast. That feels good.
Yeah.
Whereas the Sonic game I think it's just a product of its time, where it probably was very good back then. I have no doubt. Like, with some flaws, but in 2024, it just feels like it's a little bit too rough around the edges for me. It's a little bit too unforgiving. Like, the number of times I flew off a rail, or I'm going fast and I just take like a slight wrong turn and I just fly off the map, but I didn't know where to go. It wasn't clear.
Yes, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. And I think, again, it's just how Sonic has been for such a long time. Even the older games, like even new interpretations of them in Sonic Mania, there's still the 2D game that it's constantly fighting between like precise platforming and going fast. And even in the 2D stages I was watching you play here, there's still that fight between those two ideals of a platformer.
Yeah.
Like Sonic games traditionally don't feel super good when you're going at a normal pace, but when you're going super fast, there's not enough time to do anything meaningfully. Like you either just on rails or you are just waiting for the next thing that brings you to a grinding halt.
Yeah.
So I don't think the series is going to change now. It's been doing this for like decades at this point, and I think you're either on board with that sort of gameplay or it'll be very difficult for you to get on board now. But it's cool that Shadows exist, or Shadow Generations exist, so that there is something new in that franchise that maybe can grab your interest. And yeah, I mean, just looking at you playing it here looks pretty sick.
It's, like I said, I'm coming down hard on the game, but I acknowledge like maybe I'm just not a Sonic guy, and that's fine. But I will say I enjoyed the Shadow portion a lot more, and I'd be very keen to see what comes from this. Like, do they take lessons from this and honestly just mesh it with Sonic Frontiers? And I'd love to see what that looks like, and I would definitely play that to see,
An open world Shadow Frontiers sounds pretty.
I mean, it's funny because I say, why would you play Sonic when Shadow just plays a lot? Feels better to me. You do want do they just shelf Sonic? Oh, we Shadow people now.
It's I mean, he's going to make a big splash in the film, and if like this is his time to shine. So if you're going to take advantage of that like cultural moments of like people know who the fuck Shadow is again, I say put him in an open world, give him a gun, let's go, let's do it again.
I wouldn't be surprised if the next like Sonic Frontiers 2 does give you the choice, like Shadow's there. It would make sense to me to let you have the choice to alternate between both. Like Sonic, it's a bit like the example's gone from me, but it's a bit like, you can choose how to play. Do you want Sonic's moveset where Sonic is the one who can, go down and roll up into a ball and dash forward? Shadow can't do that. Like maybe that's Sonic's thing, but if you want to have a double jump, like Shadow's your man.
They should just do it like Spider-Man 2, where you've got Shadow and Sonic-specific missions, and then you can do the open world with either one. Yeah,
so I couldn't think of the example, but that's the perfect example of it. There are moments where you play as Miles and Peter, but for the most part, if you want to play as one or the other, they feel different. They've got their own tricks and things up their sleeve. They move differently, but like the fundamentals are the same. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's again like I know I come down hard, but it's not a bad game. Like I think as a remaster goes, it's a very good package where there's a brand new game here. It would be, I don't know how Sonic Generations got away with it back in 2011 because the campaign itself is super short. It's like 4 hours, but
that's kind of wild.
There is side content, like there's challenge levels, and I mean that stretches out the time. And it's the same, like the Sonic game took me 4 hours to finish. Shadows game took me 4 hours, but that's because I like just fast tracked through both of them.
I'm very off put at the way Sonic looks when he's in his little boost mode. Because, not Sonic, Shadow. Sonic turns into a little ball. Shadow just looks like he's in a T pose and moving extremely quickly. And then he starts skating again. It's very strange to me.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Sonic Generations. And is it just called Shadow Generations?
It's Sonic and Shadow Generations.
Cool. That's out now. If you need a little blue ball in your life, blue buzz ball, it's a drug. Pretty sure it's a drug. But we'll carry on.
There you go. What do you want to move on to?
I totally forgot what else we had to
We've
talk
got
about.
Horizon and Monster Hunter.
Let's chat about Monster Hunter real quick. So Monster Hunter Wilds is out in beta this week. If you had PS Plus, you got like some early access. Otherwise, it was like open to everyone, I think, this weekend. So by the time you're hearing this, I think it will be done. I think it will be closed by then.
Am I wrong in thinking that there'll be another one next week? Are there two?
Maybe I might be wrong. I can double check that quickly. But in any case, this is a beta for Monster Hunter, the big new Monster Hunter coming out next year. I think they said early next year, like
it's
Feb next year.
Yeah, it's Feb next year.
Yeah, so it's not that far away. It's like 3 or so months away. And this beta is kind of just an introduction to the opening, the first few hunts, and just a sort of like feel of what weapon do you think you'll gravitate towards, and what small new things are in Wilds that might expand out into the greater story. So you're a Monster Hunter sicko. So how has your time been? By the way, the beta's only for this weekend. So
okay. For some reason, I thought it was for like this weekend and next weekend. I thought you were talking about in game, like you're a Monster Hunter sicko. Like, yeah, you are, because in all the games you just archer to ruin.
I mean,
the lives of these monsters.
Both are true. Both are absolutely true. You are just killing these poor little creatures that weren't even attacking you, and you are making some sick armor out of their heads. I don't know.
It's laughable. The theme of today's episode is just close your eyes, don't look, don't pay attention to the story. You just the gameplay. No, so you say I'm a Monster Hunter sicko. The reality is that I had not played a Monster Hunter till Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, which is the last main entry game, and that is where the bug bit me. And I played over 100 hours on Switch, and then the game launched on PC, and I thought, am I going to do this again? And I did, in fact, do it again. Put 100 hours into that, put a lot of time into the expansion, and I'm a Monster Hunter boy now, so Wilds is interesting to me because I missed, for context, Monster Hunter Rise launched on the Switch, which means that it launched with the limitations of the Switch. It came to PC, but all that changed was that it got a new coat of paint, HD textures and whatever. But because it ran on the Switch, it was very different to World. I think it focused more on like, hunts can be done in like bite-sized sessions, like 15 to 30 minutes. You choose a hunt, you teleport to like a little arena and you do the hunt, whatever. I have no idea how World is structured, but I'm very excited to see what a quote-unquote main entry of Monster Hunter is. The next one is, because I miss World, and now this is coming out on modern-day consoles, which means there'll be like bigger environments, bigger worlds, bigger monsters, whatever it is. There's no restrictions or limitations of the Switch. I'm very keen to dive into Wilds, and just playing the beta, like you said, you get access to literally the prologue. You get a bit of story, and then they say, cool, you can just roam around and go hunt a couple of monsters in this beta, and it feels good. Like, I think from the get-go, in Monster Hunter Rise, I vibed with the longsword, and picking it up here, it feels identical. Like, it's funny because I've said to you, I've played over 200 hours of Monster Hunter, but every time I picked up a controller, I'm like, oh my god, there's so many button presses. Like, it is a high skill setting to get into this game, but when it gets you, it gets you. But coming back in now, I was like, damn, I can't remember how to like do this stuff. Like, I kept putting my weapon away, and I couldn't remember how to sprint. So if you're watching the footage now, this is the first time I'm controlling the character, and it looks a bit rough, maybe. Like I'm not playing as smooth as one would. But what I'm getting at is that once it did click, like, oh yeah, this is a longsword. It's got the same move sets. I know how the mechanic works. And obviously there are new things that I still need to figure out. Like there are new moves that I was doing, which it may be more just by accident, not so much me going, oh, I know exactly how I'm going to pull this off. But what's quite cool with Wilds is that I think it's a new system. I think Wilds did have, like, monsters could get wounded.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if that was in World, but I don't remember that from Rise.
In Rise, it was in Rise only. I think with the expansion they added, there was what is it? It was called like Blight or something, where parts of the monster's body would glow, if I recall, and if you attack that part, it would like do a chunk of damage. So what they've done now is they've kind of like streamlined it a bit, or kind of brought the two together, where you get a focus mode in Monster Hunter Wilds where it almost lets you have like a reticle. So you're watching the footage now. It lets me choose exactly where I'm going to attack. And you see when I go into the focus mode, it highlights wounds on the monster. So if you're able to target that wound specifically, you'll do like a special attack and do a lot of damage. Like that's just an interesting new thing where, you know, it adds a little bit of a new dynamic to hunts where you kind of want to wound the creature and then obviously focus on those wounds. It also lets you, because you get the little reticle, lets you aim a little bit better. Whereas I know, I mean, you've played Monster Hunter, sometimes the camera can be a bit unwieldy. You're fighting more with the camera than the actual monster. Like there's nothing worse than pulling off a combo and then it just happens you're not able to finish it correctly because the monster like is behind you or the camera's just not working with you. From my understanding, based on this beta and playing with the focus mode, you can sort of aim exactly where you want to attack, and you can pull it up at any moment. It's not tied to a resource, so that's like a nice little thing you can do.
Yeah, it's more like accuracy at the expense of like damage, because it doesn't seem like you're doing a ton when you're aiming through that reticle.
No, I mean, you can do your same moveset, right? But what you're trying to do ultimately with that focus mode is see if the monster has any wounds that you can
Weak
exploit.
Points,
yeah. I mean, you can even see the tutorial there saying like aim for the wounds to do more damage.
I can see how like off-putting this game can be for some, because I'm watching the footage and I know what's going on, but I'm looking at all the things on screen, all the prompts. I'm like,
100%. I mean,
it's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming, and I think a large part of why you and I got into Monster Hunter was because we did work for Nintendo where we had to create guides. There's a thing of like, we pitched like, we'll do a guide for Monster Hunter, and they're like, okay, cool. And we're like, what? You actually want us to?
Yes. Oh,
okay.
Like, so big surprise.
Yeah. So there's a thing of like, oh shit. Okay, like we got to learn this game, you know, because you can't make a bloody guide if you don't know anything.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, the insect glaive. This is where you summon insects.
Yeah, it's like
run around with the glaive. Yeah.
Do these people know how this game works? So that was the thing of like, in us learning the game, that's when it clicks. It's like, oh shit, like I've learned this game's clicked for me. I really enjoy this and I want to play more of it. And I think what's so interesting is that Monster Hunter's been around for a long time. I mean, for decades at this point. And World was that breakout moment for it where I don't know, I never played World, but I think that was just a game that a lot of people clicked with and went, oh shit, like Monster Hunter is really good. A lot of people,
still like one of the best-selling Capcom games of all time.
Yeah, that if I'm not mistaken, was one of the turning points for Capcom, or around the turning points for Capcom.
It was that game that started the momentum. Yeah, because it was World, and then it was RE7, and then like it just didn't stop from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people from a lot of World players skipped Rise because they thought, you know, it's like a Switch game. It's not quite the quote-unquote main Monster Hunter entry, whereas this is now with all the bells and whistles of, you know, the modern sensibilities of a Monster Hunter. And it's a beta, so obviously there's still a lot to like learn and see, but it feels good. Like it's funny that I did the first hour, like I did the mission they give you, and then I put it off, and the next day I was like, yeah, I want to go back and just, I want to go back and
Bitten
see.
again.
Yeah, I want to go back and, get the feel for my longsword. And I did. Like, it came back and I started figuring out, yeah, there's new combos you can do, some new things you can do. What's quite cool though is that I think I had to do some research because, again, never played World, so I can't tell you what the huge one-on-one differences are to that game. But I did not know that World did not have mounts until Iceborne. Raz had mounts.
The expansion, yeah.
Yeah. But what's cool is that you get a creature called a Sacred, which is a mount that you can get on during fights. So, for example, if you've taken damage, you can get on your mount, run away, have a potion, come back, leap off, carry on fighting. What's quite cool is that in Monster Hunter games, you don't just walk into arena and then fight the monster. Like, it's a tiered thing where you fight the monster for a bit, then eventually it moves to another location you have to pursue. And that's an important time because that's when you sharpen your weapon, you replenish your health. What's quite cool is that they've streamlined that. You can jump on your mount. You can move around freely if you want to, or you can just say, hey, can you just get me to the monster? And while that's happening, that's where you can, do your stuff, sharpen your weapon, get your health up. Your secret has, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Secret.
I think it's sacred. Yeah. Listen, I saw the spelling and I was like, yeah, that seems right.
It's a something. It's got its own stash. You can replenish supplies if you need to. And interestingly, and I think this is from World, you can keep a second weapon. I could be wrong, but I think you can. You've got access to a second weapon, which I was saying to you when I first saw.
It's interesting, yeah.
I was like, why would you need a second weapon? Until I did some reading and people saying, well, you can, for example, use a ranged weapon from your mount. So when the monster flees, which it often does, you can still do some damage to it as it's running away. Or you can keep two of the same weapon and you can bounce between different affinities, Arrive at
that's actually a pretty good point. Yeah, because you can have two long swords that are just, upgraded in different ways.
Yeah. So you arrive at the fight,
smart.
poison the monster, get on your mount, pull out your other weapon, your main longsword that does more crits, for example. So there'll be depth there, I have no doubt.
You don't want to run into a fight and then, like, as you arrive there, you realize, the monster is quite immune or resistant to the affinity that you've chosen. Now you have to back out of
You've got a
hunt.
second weapon to fall back on.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. I didn't think of it in that way because I think my head was going immediately towards the idea of, you have a long sword or you have a sword and shield, and those two weapons are so fundamentally different. Like, you're going to be spending a lot of time with one or the other, not bouncing between them. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
I do miss the. I know the mount is really cool. I love the wire bug from Monster Hunter Rise. I just love the mobility it gave you. But I mean, given that you're fighting in like a desert, at least for the beta here, like, it wouldn't have worked. Yeah, there's no way.
No, I think one of the big things in Rise was there was a level of verticality. Like, they did want you to climb up hills and I mean, and I wouldn't rule it out. Like, I think that was that game's thing. Like, I think every Monster Hunter has a mechanic or a unique thing. Maybe they bring it back in, the expansion year, or we see it in a future game. Like, I don't think it's gone forever. But it is interesting because I'm with you. I love the wire bug. And even having not played another Monster Hunter, I thought, how could Monster Hunter exist before this wire bug? It just changes the way the game's played, where you have to be a bit more thoughtful of, like, how do you move? How do you navigate fighting this monster without the ability to just eat away on your wire bug?
Or use it to, like, get high up and, like,
yeah,
come down on them on their head, especially with the longsword. Felt really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's good.
It's a good. It looks good. Like, it feels good. I think I was telling you, it's such a weird game because you have to get back into this idea of such purposeful button presses. Like, it's very tempting to just mash on, like, R2 on the longsword, for instance, to do, like, your spirit blade moves. But if you just do that, you miss out on all the other combos you can do if you just are patient with the animation times and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's good. I will say, we spoke about it, and I think we're not the only ones to say this game on performance mode, at least on PS5, looks rough.
the game's only 3 months away, and I think you
Yeah.
have some optimization to do.
It's weird because like this is the RE engine, which we know is
It's
so good
amazing,
in terms of
yeah.
like detail and performance. But I don't think we've seen the engine in this sort of setting where it is a much more open world-ish
Yeah.
sort of game. Whereas, you look at it in Resident Evil, it's very corridor driven, not open world at all. And so maybe that's just a limitation of the engine that they're brushing up against and struggling with it. But yeah, I mean, I played on the quality resolution mode and it looks better. Doesn't look, fun, like way, way, way better. But then the hit on frame rate and the input latency is just so big for this sort of game.
Yeah.
That I just think you have to play this on a performance mode, and in that mode, it just does not look good.
No.
And I don't know how much they can change between now and launch.
Yeah, it honestly is like I said, somebody smeared Vaseline on the screen. Like it's that drastic where you launch, you're like, oof, like it looks like I'm playing at like 720p, for example. Like it just.
And this is something I don't even think the PS5 Pro could really address because, like I said, the resolution mode looks better, but it still doesn't look fantastic. So even if you have the Pro that pushes that quality mode up to 60 frames per second, it's still, I don't know, this game just doesn't look like the sort of thing you'd expect from the engine that everyone has been talking so highly of, for good reason when it comes to Resident Evil and the Dead Rising remake that was recently put out. So it's a pity. But I also think that, Monster Hunter Rise had its issues on the Switch because it was really pushing that console to the limit in terms of what it could do visually. And that game was locked to 30. And we still had a fantastic time with that game.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a make or break. It's just surprising, put it that way, given, the engine's popularity and repertoire since now.
Yeah.
Just doesn't, it doesn't look as good as I would have hoped.
100%, yeah.
But that's out, February? I think it's end of February, yeah.
I've already said to Lens because she's not going to see me.
How does she feel about that? That seems like a very pointed demand that you can't really make.
We haven't spoken in weeks.
Oh, really? Sure. Okay, so you're practicing in the meantime.
I thought, excellent. Monster Hunter. I'm speaking shit.
Yeah. Soon there's going to be weak points on you as you get beaten out the door.
100%. But yeah, I'm very keen for it. To me, it's a no-brainer. Like I would happily take more Monster Hunter, and I hope again, like 3 months is not a long time to address things. What can they do? I don't know. Even I've heard on PC that the requirements are stupidly high. I will find you Reddit posts. I've laughed at some of the posts I've seen, like this game on low detail on PC, where the monsters and the hunters look just like polygonal blocks. Like this monster appears as just like a mesh of triangles together.
Incredible.
Like, what is going on here? Like,
incredible.
Capcom, how did this happen? Yeah.
It is in Wilds where there's the option to turn spiders into green blobs. There's like an arachnophobia mode. I'm going to do that just to see it because I need to know how that looks. I mean, I did it in
Grounded.
What was that game? Grounded, yeah. And they looked ridiculous and I really enjoyed that. So
yeah,
I might do
these
that
little blobs. Amazing.
Is Grounded still a thing? Is that game still going?
It's still going. I mean, I think it still gets regular updates. That's one of those games I played in beta as well, and I enjoyed it. But when it launched,
same.
I was just like,
I think I played with you and John Michael, and we got to the end of the story content, and we were like, cool, we'll come back to this, and just never did.
Never did.
Yeah.
Hate to see it.
Cool. That is Monster Hunter Wilds. I feel like there's always like a fourth word in that name that I'm missing, but it's just Wilds. It's not like the Wilds or...
No, just
But I guess the others have been World, Rise,
yeah,
Wilds. Next one's going to be Tame. I don't know. Who knows? Who can say?
Who can say?
Horizon. You see, I keep wanting to say Forbidden West. Horizon Zero Dawn, the first one, the OG, the one that I think is a much better game.
Wow.
It got a remaster. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I don't know why. People like getting money. Listen, there's no reason for this remaster to exist, but I will say this. This game looks so much better than a remaster sticker on a box would suggest. Because I think this is almost like one of those like borderline on remake territory. And that's purely because of all the improvements that they made for Forbidden West, that they could like bring this older game into an engine with that technology and make it look so much better. And I do think it's a case of the sort of like your mind's eye thing. You're going to play it and be like, yeah, this is how it always looked. But until you... No. If you put it side by side, you're like, oh no, this is a drastically better looking game. Like, we need to remember that for Zero Dawn came out on PS4 and was already then targeting, base PS4. It was one of the first marquee like PS4 Pro titles, which is why
early.
it was like
early in
fancy.
that console.
Yeah, it was like 2016, I think.
Somewhere
around there.
Yeah.
So it was just after the PS4 Pro launched, or just as it launched. I remember Mark Cerny making a big deal about like HDR and stuff like that. But even then, it looked good. It ran really well. It was still a technical achievement for the PS4. But when Forbidden West came out, it blew everything out the water then. It's still probably one of the best looking PS5 games out there.
Yeah.
Just an incredible amount of detail, beautiful lighting. And I think applying that to the older game is a great way to get people who maybe missed out on the first one to return to this one. Or just a really neat way to get more developers skilled up on this engine, because a lot of the times that's what these remasters are. It's like we are bringing in new people in a team, we're skilling up people for a new project. How do we make that as productive as possible? And The Last of Us being remastered on the PS4 and subsequently the PS5 again, that was kind of the approach, or at least that's what's been said is the approach, is to skill up people on these tools while also making a project that is substantial. And if that means they needed more people to get up to speed with these things to work on the live service Horizon game that they're currently working on, then cool. We get a really good looking remaster out of it. And I think if you've never played Zero Dawn, this is absolutely the way to play it now. It's firstly, it's a $10 upgrade on the game if you already own it. It's I think $50 or so. I don't think it's like full priced for just the straight up purchase. But yeah, it looks really good. Like I'm not gonna replay Zero Dawn fully again. I've done it like twice already at this point because it came out on PC as well and stuff like that. But I hopped into an older save and I was already in the thick of it and just running around that world. And I'm like, yeah, this feels like Forbidden West's world, but it is Zero Dawn. And so it's very easy to trick myself into thinking this is how it always looked. But like the vegetation is so much richer. You've got, that like red flowing grass that you think has always been in there and it's not been there. It never looked that good. The facial capture is so much better. Like, and again, it's only when you go back and look and you go, ooh, Zero Dawn by today's standards doesn't really hold up in terms of, facial capture and animations and stuff. And back then it was seen as a premier thing. Yeah. But now it really is on the level that you expect it to be. There's been, I think, more motion capture was recorded in the studios, and there's far more emotion in a lot of the faces, which really brings a lot of the conversations to life in a new way. So it's good. It's really good. If you have any sort of passing interest in revisiting this game, I think the $10 upgrade especially is a fairly easy recommendation to make. And I know I especially was quite negative on this even being a thing, because I just don't think we need remasters of games that are barely 6 years old. But if it's going to be done to this quality, then sure, why not?
Yeah.
Because it is fundamentally like a much better product. It isn't just like here's the same thing, we've just changed the output resolution because we now have the GPU horsepower to support that. It's like, no, we've gone in and really altered how this game looks and how it functions, and there's a lot of work, and you can see there's been a lot of work done here. And yeah, it's really cool. The lighting especially as well just looks so much better.
I think
great game. Yeah,
I think it's also just really nice that you've got the $10 upgrade option. I think you're right. A lot of people fall into this thing of like, yeah, we're going to remaster this game and then full price. We're gonna milk this franchise. Whereas like, yeah, it's a lower price. I mean, it's still, it's not like cheap, but it's $50 if you've never owned the game. I'm with you. I'm not gonna commit the time to replaying it, but if I were a big enough fan, I own Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, I'll pay $10 just to. And it's funny. I think there's a financial person out there somewhere who worked out like, yeah, we'll have 1 million people just pay the $10 just to see what it looks like, and that's it.
100%.
They won't play the whole game, but they'll pay just to have the upgraded version. Let's do it. People will do it.
Absolutely. There are very smart actuaries out there doing all of these number crunching things. Like 100%. I mean, if we ever got like raw sales in these sort of division of new sales and upgrades, I would be super fascinated to see what that is, because I think you're right. I think there would be a lot of people paying that, and maybe their playtime would be like under 2 hours. Like, I'm guilty of that. I've done that before. I've, a lot of the times it's with free upgrades, but I'll download it just to see it and barely play it. Now, if you tell me that is a 100 Rand upgrade, and say it's for a franchise I really, really love, like very passionate about, then of course I'm going to do that.
Journey
just to see
is
what
getting
it is.
a remake today.
I've bought Journey multiple times.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like, I bought it on PS4, I had it on PS3, I bought it on PC when it came out because I wanted to see what it looked like on this platform. So yeah, you're 100% right. People will do that. I just think, there, like you said, there are a lot of examples of where this is definitely a sort of cash grab thing, but I think especially in this case, it almost felt like they wanted to make a point of, no, we are putting a lot of work into this. We want to set the standard for what a remaster looks like, because maybe we're going to keep doing this more and more often with more modern games. And if this is the sort of benchmark they set for themselves and the sort of quality we get underneath a remaster label, then I'm all for it. Like, Spider-Man Remastered, which came out with Miles Morales when the PS5 launched, it wasn't on this level. Like, it looked better, but it wasn't like a fundamental rework of that game. It was more like, okay, here's a native PS5 version of this game that definitely runs better, but this is like a night and day difference between the original and now. And I'm curious to see if they, other games get this sort of treatment. Like, will we get the original God of War done in the sort of like Ragnarok improved engine?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I don't know. Will we get, I don't know, Death Stranding works in the Decima engine just like Horizon. Will we get a very reworked first Death Stranding just after the second one comes out next year sometime? So who knows? It's cool. Like, if this is how they're going to train new developers, then I'm all for it, because they make a bit of money. People get a really, really good looking game as a result. And if it makes the game to come in the near future better, then cool.
By all means,
I'm on board for that. Yeah. I'm still not super convinced that a live service Horizon game is the best way to go, especially given the issues Sony has had recently with trying to turn its mega franchises into live service games. You just have to ask anyone at Naughty Dog how that went with Factions. I don't know. We'll see. I think of the properties that have tried to be morphed into live service games, Horizon probably has the most juice to squeeze there, because it is the sort of thing, like, you could see Horizon being a co-op, 4-player co-op Monster Hunter like.
100%. You know what I mean? I think they've got the foundation there. So.
Yeah, there's absolutely the combat foundation is absolutely there. Whether it's a thing that people will spend a bunch of time playing, I'm not so sure, but I'm curious to see the attempt. I just know that it's going to be a long, long time till we get a third Horizon. And so if you enjoyed Forbidden West and you're pining for something new, then this could scratch that itch for the next, I don't know, who the fuck knows, couple of years until that comes. So
the next decade, just
on the next decade.
Play one chapter, you'll be cool.
Yeah. And it is, I think, I know I joke that it's a better game. I do actually believe that, but I think that's because it's just a more focused experience as opposed to Forbidden West, which I think is really lost in its open world guff. So yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn just being a bit more streamlined, I think was a welcome reminder going back into it. I'm not going to play it all again, but it did remind me why I really enjoyed this game and didn't really click with it in the same way in Forbidden West. So, yeah, it's good. It's out now. If you have absolutely nothing else to play, then sure, go for it.
Well, there you go.
Nice. Yeah, I think that about does it. I was telling you before the show that the Pokemon, the trading card game Pocket, TCG Pocket, which is out now on iOS and Android, got me really tight. I'm opening packs every day. I'm building them decks. I'm battling people. I've got a cool little fire deck going. I just need a Charizard, please, for the love of God. Can a pack just contain a Charizard? Like, game's good. I would recommend it to anyone who. I mean, I've never played the Pokemon trading card game. I know people who do. This is a very distilled take on the actual TCG. Very Hearthstone and I think Marvel Snap in nature in terms of how brief and quick the battles are. But I do think the emphasis here is on card collecting and card pack opening, and that has really just been hitting all the right dopamine buttons in my brain.
Nice.
So I'm enjoying it. I need someone to join in the sickness with me.
I mean, I've just kicked my Marvel Snap addiction after such a long time.
There's no better time now.
I didn't play the last season. I'm like, well, am I supposed to fill this void?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you think Marvel Snap has too many cards, or Pokemon? There's like 200 already. You know,
goodness.
You only get like 6 in a pack. You've got to start opening those packs. You've got to pump those numbers.
For now, they're obviously gonna lean into all the James.
Oh, of course.
Be like
but then you're going to be too far behind, Matthew. You need to get in at the ground floor.
No.
This is I mean, if Pikachu was Bernie Madoff, you would buy into its Ponzi scheme. You need to buy in right now.
I mean, okay. You say no more. Would I hand over my life savings?
Also, please invite 10 of your best friends, because then everyone gets free packs. This is how a MLA works. I just want free packs, please.
Okay. And then I have to do the same thing. Tell my friends to recruit their friends.
Absolutely. Yes, this is how you become a diamond tier participant and get free packs for life.
Nice. I'm ready. What a win.
It's a good game. It's a really good game.
I don't know if I'll play it. I want to see it. I don't know if I will commit to it, though.
This is the problem. It's got all that Pokemon money behind it. It's slick. Like, the experience is slick. Like, opening a booster pack, you have to drag your finger across the screen to it's like, like when you peel that foil. Oh.
So hang on. Okay, so you opening packs. You haven't spent a cent on this game, but I would presume you can just outright buy packs.
That's the interesting thing. I don't think you can. There is a premium currency, but the currency is more for like seasonal content. So you can buy like a season pass for that content. I don't see a place where you can just spend money to buy. In this game, they're called like hourglasses, and 1 hourglass basically shaves an hour off the time until your next booster pack, because you get a free booster pack every 12 hours.
Well, there you go. That's
now, I might be missing it, but I don't see anywhere where you can do that. The reason I've got so many is because when you play the single player battles against like CPU, it's like tiered. I think there's like 5 tiers of like beginner, intermediate, whatever. When you beat each tier, you get like 120 of these hourglasses, which is good for, 10 hours worth of opening packs. Essentially, you can skip 10 hours or 10 instances of 12 hours. So essentially 5 days of waiting, you can just skip immediately.
So you can buy hourglasses though, right?
You can buy hourglasses, but only with like an in-game currency. I don't think you can use actual money.
The premium. Okay.
I'm just I'm opening it now. I'm making sure.
Because then I was like, well, if you can buy hourglasses, they don't need to sell you packs. They'll just sell you hourglasses, and then.
Oh no! Of course. No, you can't buy packs outright. I'm just checking. Okay, so let's see. I'm going into the store here. This is riveting podcast content. So you can buy hourglasses with this currency called these, like, I don't know, they're called cards, shop tickets. Shop tickets are obtained by completing event missions or from step-up battles. So I can only get those via battles, which you get them every time you battle another human. Also, if someone gives you like kudos on that battle, you'll get one of those. I'm just trying to see. The premium currency is called Pokemon Gold. And what can Pokemon Gold buy me? So you get a premium pass, which gives you... okay. Here's the thing. So if you subscribe to the premium pass, you can open one more booster every day. So every 12 hours, you can open 2 as opposed to 1. So that already gives you a big benefit there.
Yeah.
But other than that, you can't use gold to straight up just buy booster packs. So
how much is that season
they want
pass?
that subscription money. How much is the season pass? Well, let me tell you. Just navigate it away from
the thing is, sorry. No, the reason I'm asking is because, like, it's Pokemon. Pokemon is going to make gang cash from the get-go. Okay, like, it doesn't matter what they do. But I was just wondering, like, what is the thing here that's going to print their money?
So,
I mean, if a season pass costs 100 Rand, that's still, they're going to make so much money. It's more than that, isn't it? It's 300 Rand. More.
200 Rand a month.
I mean, Marvel Snap is...
No, that's hectic.
No,
That is so
it is a lot,
hectic.
but Marvel Snap is in the same ballpark. I'd say, like, I think it's about 150, 200 Rand, and a season in Marvel Snap is typically like 4 to 5 weeks. So yeah, so essentially you can open one more pack every day. So as opposed to 2 a day, you get 3. You can also take on premium missions, which give you premium rewards, and that's it. When are you buying your...
Definitely not today, and definitely not anytime soon, because...
But man, how are you going to get those 200 cards? You got to get more packs.
Listen, I've got a lot of... You know what I'm doing? I'm pacing myself. You know, like when you've got a good meal in front of you, and you're like, I'm enjoying this. I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to scoff it all down. I've got hourglasses. I can open up 10 packs right now. I could do it before this podcast ends, but I choose not to. I'm only opening 1 or 2 additional packs every day. You know, space out those dopamine hits, so that when I run out, the withdrawal won't be as intense. This is what I'm telling myself inside. Because
can you accumulate packs? Like, if I don't play for 3 days, will I have 6 packs to open?
Good question. I don't know.
No, but
there is a...
I was going to say,
there is a thing where it like notifies you when you've got a pack ready to open.
Yeah.
And I've opened up the app before, and it's like, you've got a pack waiting. I don't know if I wait 24 hours if that then stacks.
I have a feeling that they will not let that happen. Why?
Probably not.
I don't play for a month. I get 60 packs. They'll never let that happen.
There's no way. Absolutely no way. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it would reserve 1, but then if that 12 hours comes again, you don't just get, oh, now I've got 2. I mean, it would require me to not play for like 2 days to check, and that's not happening. I'm very sorry. Yeah. So at this point in time... Yeah, at this point in time, I'm not willing to make that sacrifice for the greater good.
But it's
a fun game.
I introduced my brother to Marvel Snap. Okay, I said, "Have you played the Snap game?" My brother, Marvel Snap genius today. Hits infinite every season. Loves the game.
Damn.
Now I've got to say, you know what? Forget Marvel Snap. The Pokemon card game is where it's at.
It is, and he's got young kids. He can just get them to open packs. Infect them at a young age.
That is dangerous, because then what happens next? They bought a season pass. Dad, we bought the
100%. What's even more dangerous than that?
Oh, no,
Dad, we want the actual cards.
Oh, they want the actual
You're fucked. Slippery slope.
No.
Absolutely fucked at that point.
Don't do it.
You think a season pass to turn around a month is expensive? Wait until you get single cards over a grand. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Keep Pokemon away from your children.
I remember being a kid and telling my mom, can I please get Pokemon cards? And what do you think my mom said? No.
She said, not in this house.
Not
Absolutely
in my house.
not.
No, I think...
Get these Tazos out of here.
I bought like 1 or 2 packs, but it was my mom would never understand, like, you know, it's not a once. You don't buy a pack of Pokemon cards and you've got them all. It's like, no, you got to...
No, it's not a toy.
My mom was like, nah, fam, I'm out. Jokes on her now. I can get 2 free a day on the mobile app.
Now it's just easier. Now the kids can get infected with the Pokemon sickness without you even knowing. You just need to download an app. Satan has come for them.
What do you want for your birthday? Mom, just 200 Rand. Oh, that's not too bad. For what? for some digital cards. What? Not in this house.
Also, it's 200 Rand every month for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
actually.
What? Kids face different problems today. Because at least in my day, I'd have something to show for it. Can you imagine explaining to the old generation, like, I'm buying cards that you can't physically touch?
Well, I think this is definitely a problem right now. Like, how many grandparents are there who ask their like children, like, what does my grandson want? And they get the
Fortnite
reply,
Battle Pass.
V-Bucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck is a V-Bucks? Like,
I think even parents today, like, I know, not direct family of
Roblox
mine, but
credits.
like one of my niece's cousins, like her cousins, like big into Fortnite. He's like, birthday time, V-Bucks. And
Yeah.
I get it. I'm like, I 100% get it, but I know non-gamers are like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
It's
what do you
virtual.
mean?
Like,
What if
what do
I
you
just
mean?
give you the store card instead? It's like, it's the same thing.
We've touched on this, I'm sure, this podcast at some point, but in schools today, okay, maybe not today, but back in the day, or maybe even still today, you can get insulted and bullied for not having Fortnite skins. They call you a default.
Yeah, 100%. You're
which
playing
is-
with the default
As an
skin.
adult, it is just hilarious to think of someone in school be like, "Oh, you're such a default." Like, that is a ridiculous
Oh,
insult. Like,
You're playing with the season 1 banana. Lame. Lame. I've got the season 10
Kids have
banana.
it
What's
tough
different?
today.
Oh, this one's more ripe.
like, whoa. Hey, on Fortnite, we're pivoting. We're gonna land this plane soon. Have you seen that Snoop Dogg is like the skin?
It's crazy.
That was
It's
not on my
just
bingo
crazy.
card, but I love it for Fortnite, and I love it for Snoop Dogg that you can play as him in Fortnite. It's just
There is no ceiling to where Fortnite can't go.
ain't
you
no
know,
mountain
I mean-
high enough.
I think as soon as we got like real life football players in there, like fucking Neymar with an AK-47, that was like the shark has jumped the shark and jumped the other. There is no stopping this train now.
But it's just hilarious because you think, what's next? What is untouched? Because every couple months I go like, holy shit, I would never have thought that. And then Epic keep doing it. They keep grabbing a partnership or doing something. I go, oh my god, like how cool that you can play as Snoop Dogg. Like, and I have to think again. I'm going to younger demographic. They must go, who the hell is Snoop Dogg? Who the shit's it? Or they go like, oh, cool, Snoop Dogg. He must be this new and up and coming artist. Like, listen, my sweet child, Snoop Dogg was there when the word was first written. He's been there forever.
But it's the same with some of their collabs. Like they had Ripley from Alien in there not long ago, and it's like,
what is going on?
Who knows about Ripley? This is from a 1980s horror film. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Wait until we get like real life serial killers in there. You know, like Jack the Ripper, Fortnite skin.
Wild.
I mean, why wouldn't we at this point?
Oh, yeah, you get everyone. I don't know. I still would love to know who approaches who. The Snoop Dogg
It's a good
person
question.
go like, hey, Epic, my homie wants to be in your game. Or do Epic go, you know what would print gang money? Snoop Dogg. Get him on the phone. Put him
I
in
think
here.
it's a balance of both, to be honest. I
Yeah.
do really think we have an open door policy to take any ludicrous idea.
Ludicrous.
And also like,
when's Ludicrous coming to Fortnite?
good God. Get the whole of
Exhibit.
D12 in Fortnite.
Oh my god,
Come on.
put exhibits in there, and you have a season about like pimping rides. Like, come on, Fortnite.
Actually, yeah, you just get the amount for that season is just lowriders.
I mean,
You
come
jump out of the lowrider bus instead of the normal
Epic.
school
I'll
bus.
give you that idea for free. I
Yeah,
just want
yeah.
1% of the cut.
Next one, yeah, I want 1% of
Just
all
1%.
all
I'm not asking for
transactions on V-Bucks for a
Yeah.
week.
much. It's not
Yeah.
much. Just 1%.
No, not at all. I mean that will basically keep us living till the end of our times,
Forever.
probably. So
Good
yeah.
God. Anyways,
Fortnite was a great little detour.
Mm.
Just like this entire episode has been a little detour from your life, maybe. Who knows? We hope we can distract you as much as we can. I don't know where I'm going with this.
just
I'm
land this
just
plane.
continuing down this hole. That's been episode 260 of Checkpoint Chat. Yeah, as we said, Matthew's going to be away next week. and we'll probably be back the week after that. We'll see. You know, this is still sporadic. Don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. It's two weeks in a row. It's just a little treat. You know, it's like when there's Formula One 3 weeks in a row, and then they take a 3-week break. That's how we're doing it here. You know, we're ahead of the curve. Formula One copied us.
Yeah, what you don't know is that we're actually flying to different countries as well.
Yeah, I mean, the next episode is actually being shot in Las Vegas, so, you know.
You think this is my apartment? This is a green screen, guys. I don't know. I'm on the beach. Don't make me put the screen off. You'll never know.
You know, of course. How would you know? No one knows.
No.
It's the magic of editing as well. Yeah. That's been episode 260. Thank you so much again for joining us. We hope you stay safe. We hope you're enjoying this busy time of the gaming season. And we will be back next time. Thank you so much, Matty.
Thank you.
Wow, you looked so shocked by the compliment. Jesus. Like, it's the last time I say thank you to you. God damn.
No, it's more because you go, cool, we're landing this plane. Bye. You're like, cool, thanks for listening. Thank you, Matty. Like, what?
It's fun. You at least it's on record. I'll never have to do it again.
Never.
I'll never have to. Yeah.
Well,
thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye.